Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2015, and you are on with the Black Geeks. But not only are you on with us, you're on with us in high definition. That's right, folks. You can see us right through your computer screens, and we're here with you, New Year, but the same old Black Geeks, bringing you all the techie, geeky information that Geekdom has to offer. Everything from all the range of geekdom, comic books, to technology, to cars, to oh man, it's no telling what we're gonna bring you at any given moment. But it's not just me on the line, man. We've got some of our stellar black geeks. Also, we do have the Potbelly Samurai. What's going on, man?
Good to see everybody.
Yes, sir. Good to see you as well, traveler. And we do have Dark Kikonius hanging out with us as well. Kikonius, how are you doing today, sir?
All right, everybody, what's going on?
Oh, go everyone. I'm sure that everyone is just so excited that the Black Geeks are just broadcasting live. I'm sure we just got tons and tons of viewers after our long technical difficulties. And last but not least, we do have His Eminence King Face. What's going on, Face?
Chilling, just playing the role of customer service right now.
Oh,
All right, as soon as I type in the black
see, be careful. See? Oh, customer service. Oh, you just never know what customer service has for you. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's 2015 already. The year just blew by, and you guys were part of it, and so we're doing something different this year. We're doing a Google Hangouts, and we're doing some YouTube things, and we're going to be bringing you lots of different content. And man, it's going to be incredible some of the stuff. But we need you guys to let us know what you think about the feed, what you think about the content, and we need you guys want to hear your feedback. So you can catch us on theblackgeeks.com. You can also, if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, we're also at the Black Geeks. We want to know what you want to see this year. We're going to be covering movies. We're going to be covering books. We're going to be covering television. We're gonna be covering tech. I mean, we're gonna be covering just all the things that the Black Geekdom can bring you, and so much more. But you actually have a role in this. You can let us know some of the things that you want us to talk about, and then we'll try to bring that content to you as well. So make sure that you hit us up on any of those. We can even email us. Some people email these days. They don't just do social media all the time. They email. You can also hit us up at info@theblackgeeks.com, and we'll definitely get you on there. But before we get started, we can't start any show without just enlightening your minds and just opening up all the possibilities of the universe by telling you the news of the week. And for that, we have to go to our correspondent for great geeky news. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Darth Geekonius with the news of the week. Take it away, Darth Geekonius.
Man, I miss my music. We
I
gotta,
miss your music too.
we gotta get this under control.
Hey, yo, that's what editing's for, homeboy.
Yeah, you better believe it. We should have paused like 5 seconds or something, just so I can have some room to add that in there later.
Trust me, I thought about it.
Yeah, but you know what? One of the good things is though, I'll be able to do this whole screen share thing right now. I'm
Oh,
actually
that's
gonna,
right.
yeah, that's right. So I'm going to do a screen share real quick, and we are going to be able to see the news I am talking about.
I want to see this.
All right. So right out the gate, we want to talk about this X-Men exclusive from Latino Review, and it looks like they're already looking at young Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Storm. So as you can see, here's our character lineups for this is who they're looking at supposedly for a young Cyclops. You got Taron Egerton, Jamie Blackley, and Blackley, and Sheridan. For Jean Grey, we have Sophie Turner and Saoirse Ronan, whatever her last, how you pronounce her name. But if you remember them two, of course, one plays Sansa Stark, and the other one was recently, I think, the last movie she was in. She was in Hannah as a little girl, but she was also in what's that Stephanie Meyer movie again? And I forgot the name of it already.
Oh, the host.
The host, there it is. So that's what they're looking at apparently for Jean Grey. And for Storm, we have Alexandra Shipp and Zendaya Coleman. Alexandra, she recently played in the Leo biopic that everybody really loved. And
Zendaya.
You know, Zendaya is on
Zendaya.
Shake It Up, Zapped, and Casey Undercover, whatever that is. So there you go. Um, let's see. I need to probably do this full screen so my little alerts that don't pop up. Okay. Also, just wanted to bring up the fact that this week iPhone turned 8 years. Now, for those who are obviously going to make the comment about me being an Apple guy, blah blah blah, let us remember what life on a phone was like prior to the iPhone, and then understand. Then you can understand if you're a real techie why it's important to realize that it was only 8 years ago that Steve Jobs got on the screen and presented 8 years ago the iPhone. So thank Steve Jobs for modern smartphones. Also, it looks like Daredevil is going to be hit Netflix on April 10th. Of course, it's a Netflix exclusive. So everybody's getting ready for Marvel's next wave of television shows. Here's what we're looking for on April 10th. And normally I don't bring this up, but just to show you how far we've come in tech, this week Seagate 5 terabyte backup external drive was only $130 shipped. And for those of you who remember what it was like to, when a terabyte hard drive first came out, I was telling someone recently, I was saying, I remember when I got my first personal computer in the late 90s, Gateway, and at that time, 2 gigabyte hard drives just seemed like all the rage. And when 20 came out, you were a master. So just to know that a 5 terabyte hard drive can be had for $130 is a big thing in technology. And some Beats news. It looks like Monster is trying to sue Beats co-founders Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, basically saying that they trying to cut Monster out in their role in developing the headphones now that they're now part of Apple. But I guess they wanting that paycheck from Apple. And I don't have any other pictures queued up, but it's worth noting, it's worth mentioning that this week also Agent Carter premiered. And so this week Agent Carter premiered, and we got to see this mini series, as they're calling it. I don't think it'll ever be picked up for more seasons because Marvel's intention thus far has only been 8 episodes. Also this week was CES, the Consumer Electronic Expo, or show, whatever. And basically what was big this week and this year is definitely 4K televisions have come out in a big way. Smart wearable technology is also pretty big. And there were a couple of things that really showed up in the, that came out in the show. And then you had your things like bendable TVs and things of that nature. But otherwise, CES was great, and that's all I got for SIF News thus far. I'm turning it back to you, Bob Rob.
Well, thank you very much. I'm surprised. What you said that was it from CES. I mean, there was a lot that came out of CES. And I'm not going to sit here and just talk about all the different things that came out of CES, but there were two things that really struck me out of CES this year. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I'm only sharing your screen. There we go. There we go. All right, my bad. Sorry about that. I was talking and it was like, it was puppeting. I was talking and you just weren't moving your lips. But what I think that there are two really interesting things that I took away from CES this year. One, I was really amazed, and I think rightfully so, of how much emphasis was placed on mobile devices. And like I kept reading article after article after article of how they were showing how this device connects to your phone or that device connects to your phone. I mean, everything from, we've all known about the Nest system and for your home temperature control and things of that nature. But it was just really interesting. Like every 5 out of 8 articles, something like that. Every article I was reading, it was just talking about this for your phone, this for your phone, and so it just kind of struck me of how the technology. I mean, everyone knows that we have the smartphones, but how it's shifting so much that they're creating so many different things that can be controlled from your phone. And the other thing that I thought was rather interesting was the 3D printing technology. They even had a chocolate printer, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. I'm just saying, I just thought the chocolate printer was pretty kind of fascinating. So, But I mean, just the concept of 3D printing. There was an article that there was a guy. I think he said, if I remember, and I hope I'm not quoting the article wrong, but it was saying that he had, I think he was lost his hand or something in an accident, and he wanted to get an artificial limb, but they were so expensive. But he ended up using a 3D printer to basically build an artificial hand that, yeah, he could basically bolt it onto his wrist. And to his forearm, and was actually could grab and control things using motion within his arm. And it's just really fascinating that 3D printing technology is pushing the envelope of inventing that, home creators are now creating things with 3D printers now. So it's like really, really fascinating, yeah, in my opinion. But did anything else like really strike you, Geekonius? I mean, there was a lot that came out of CES.
You know, the one thing I think CES did was validate the current technological trends. You know, the cars, electric cars was kind of big, even though ironically the geeks were so much, they're so much for the tech. A lot of the cars were actually being ignored, so that was kind of hilarious that they had like souped up chargers and different types of cars. At a car show, people would have been drooling over, but at CES they're kind of just like, oh, let's see the new tech. Wearables was really big. One of the most interesting wearable technologies that came out. I forget the company name. I probably should have took notes, but it's basically a wearable that the two little earbuds that you put in your ear, and it basically has GPS, music. It does the whole health tracking and monitoring thing, and it's all remote charged and in your ears, no strings, no anything like that, and that was pretty cool. Um, if nothing else, you know that 4K is here to stay. It came out with a big splash. Now the technology is cheaper. LG also showed some OLED technology, and that's coming down in price as well. So, that was the biggest things for CES for me. Again, as the resident Apple guy, if you, will, I just thought it was really amusing how shook up the industry is with this whole smartwatch thing. There were so many smartwatches and things coming out. And if you read some of the tech articles, they were just like, "Yo, people are so threatened by this Apple Watch thing that they're trying to get it in as much as possible." So that was, a lot of CES for me. I think one of the most promising technologies though out of CES was the company that came out with the wireless charging. Um, for years people have been experimenting with the whole power mat thing, where you basically have mats throughout your house, and you can just sit your devices or whatever on it to charge. And a lot of companies didn't adopt that. There were some who played around with that, and Palm, before HP screwed them over and got rid of them, was actually working with different variations of the power mat. But this one company basically came up with a technology that's going to be able to transmit power through a low-level Wi-Fi band, and so basically, throughout your entire house, just like how you have Wi-Fi, you'd constantly have charging going through the air as well. So of course, some of the jokes are is that we're going to get cancer in like 5 years with that crap. But basically, wherever you are in the house, if you can get Wi-Fi, you'll be able to get your devices charged. So it wouldn't matter where your devices are; it'll just be receiving this charge, if you will. So I think that was the most uh, powerful, one of the most significant things I saw out of CES, because just the applications of what that could do, we're now looking at maybe not even having, depending on how developed the technology can get, maybe 10 years from now, we may even get to a situation where our other consumer electronics won't even need to be plugged into the wall anymore. You just have this one powerful electric router thing that basically just shoots power throughout the whole house, and you'd be in a situation where your computers, your laptops, everything won't even need to be plugged in. So right now it's just for smartphones and little devices, but that's the type of thing CES does for you. It gets you to really think about what the future might hold. So I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, there were a lot of little think outside the box type things. Now I must say that that power through the air thing's a little scary. I think Nikolai, was that Tesla, with the Tesla coil. Didn't he try? Didn't he want to like build power distribution centers that be able to transmit power through the air? Wasn't that Nikola Tesla that did that? I
I
think.
believe so.
Yeah, they did. They had the little arcs flying through there. Same thing they used in that movie with Nicolas Cage. Was that Merlin? The Merlin movie, whatever that was. Anyway, but yeah, CES was pretty good. I guess we may delve into some like specific stuff a little bit later, but uh, that's just boring stuff. I want to bring some of the other geeks in the conversation. I don't know if any of you guys caught CES, but if you want to comment on it, you can. I really want to talk. There's a lot that's going to go down this year in 2015. I mean, 2014 gave us, man, 2014 gave us such I don't know how to put it. It gave almost like a revolution in television. DC DC put it down in 2014 and really set a bar. Marvel set more bars with Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's going to be very interesting, the battle for media control going into 2015 with those two fronts. Just you get the Marvel over there and DC over there, and both of them are doing so very well, and then they're now giving us these smaller. I can really honest. Did anybody watch Agent Carter?
I did.
I didn't, but not because I didn't want to. I didn't
did.
have access to a TV.
Cool. Oh, and I wanna just mention it. It appears that once again I turned my back and he's just capping and creeping to the room. I believe that we have Ghost on the line. Ghost, are you on with us? Trying to see if he's on with us. I can see him, but I'm not
His
sure.
picture is there, but
Yeah, I don't have any sound or anything. Okay.
See, he's having
Anyway.
problems with his audio.
Okay. Yeah, I just tried to clear him, so I can't clear him. So
He's muted.
yeah, I just tried to clear his mute. I couldn't. So we'll have to check back in with him. So to King Face, we saw Agent Carter. Now this was very interesting what they're doing here, in that they basically have said, look, we're gonna run a couple episodes of just this Agent Carter thing. It's like an extended short almost. That they're like, hey, we're gonna wet your whistle a little bit. We're gonna keep you hooked in this universe with Agent Carter. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have a chance to see it yet. I've just been on the run. So King Face, what were your impressions of Agent Carter?
I thought it was cool. I want to give it a couple shows. I like what they're doing. Expanding the world between the movies and the TV shows. That's what DC needs to be doing because they set the stage for it. And right now Marvel is beating them to the punch on that front because they're kind of doing it successfully right now. The combination between the TV shows, they get some of the actors in their movies to show up on the regular TV shows. That is cool, and they can go back and forth between these TV shows into their movie world and basically set up storylines all throughout the year without having to make more movies. Like I said, DC has done the groundwork to do it. They're just not pulling the trigger on it. I don't know why. They could do it. They have several things that they've already started off between the Arrow and Flash and even Constantine. So it would be nice to see if they do have a big game plan involved. Only time could tell whenever they do this supposed Justice League movie, whether or not that's where they're going with it. But I mean, so far, as far as Agent Carter, it seems pretty cool. You know what I mean? I like the concept, so I'm a little more biased. So I don't want to say it's the most awesome thing. I mean, I thought Constantine was like one of the most awesome TV shows. They won't shut that down. So,
Hold up, man. I know I've been out of the country for a week, but they trying to shut down Constantine?
yeah, we reported that in November.
yeah.
So I don't think you've been out of the country that long.
No, we can actually see the smug look on his face when he says it now. We can never see that smug look on his face. We can just kind of infer it, but now we can actually see him like,
That's what it was like
reported
every
that.
moment.
Yeah, now we can actually see what
He's
he's
like,
like.
I reported that on Sip News in November.
It's been a busy couple of months, damn it.
Nah, but that's what I'm saying. I think Constantine is going down because of the time slot. That Friday at 9, 10 thing.
Kiss of Death. Kiss of
Yeah,
Death.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't have a cult following, and it's a good show, and I like what they're doing. Just like I like what they're doing with the Flash and Arrow, introducing all these characters and doing all these things, expanding the DC universe. Joint is awesome, and they're doing the same thing with Constantine. It's just not that time slot isn't the best time slot unless you have vampires and zombies or something.
But I'm
Other than
surprised with that because I'm actually surprised because they got
Chill.
Glenn has been holding that time slot down for a minute, and I'm surprised that the carryover hasn't been able to help Constantine out.
I think Face hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest issue is that time slot, yo. I don't, cause I mean, Z Nation, for instance, I'll give Z Nation a good example. Oh, Rob, you need to talk about because I heard you were actually checking it out finally. But Z Nation has that crazy Friday time slot too, and I think Z Nation is a pretty good show. But
Z Nation's also on Sci-Fi, so they shows get a lot more leeway.
yeah, because a lot of people but it's a select audience who goes to Sci-Fi. I'm just saying that time slot in general, I don't care what channel you are, you're in trouble because it's the end of the week. People got things to do. Movie premieres, people going out Friday night. It's just so much going on. I think the last thing on a lot of people's minds is, let me kick back and watch this TV show. Now, if Game of Thrones is on Friday night, then maybe that's that's the only
but you got a
type of
cult
show that can
following.
take that slot. Yeah.
They could put that anywhere right now.
Let me ask y'all this though: like, are they counting DVR views in the decision making? Because I know a lot of people like me. They DVR stuff. Like, I might not get to it for a couple of days,
Probably
but
not.
I DVR Constantine every Friday.
I'm going to say they
Probably
don't.
not, 'cause how you gonna know?
I'm going to say they don't because that's like a new thing. These especially the older TV syndicates, they're going to go off of what they know.
Because we all know, like, the Nielsen ratings is some BS. You got
that's what they're going by.
In the middle of Omaha,
I told you,
watching
Constantine
TV, and
is
that's
an
what
awesome
they
show.
focus the whole country on. Constantine is a great show.
But it probably isn't doing, say, what Arrow or the Flash is doing. You see what I'm saying?
I still think it's more time slot than anything else.
Yeah, I do too.
And also, it could be Twitter too. Has anybody checked out? I don't ever recall seeing anything trending on Twitter about Constantine on the level of some of these other shows. And it's funny because I was listening to I don't remember what I listened to a little bit earlier. Probably was one of these sports channels or something discussing other drama that happened today. But they were just talking about social media and marketing, and they were talking about who's going to be playing at the halftime show for Super Bowl. And they were saying that even though Taylor Swift or whatever, she's gotten Grammys and whatnot, Katy Perry is doing the Super Bowl, and they were speculating it because she's more popular. And like, if you look at Twitter, she has way more followers. She's one of the top Twitter people on Twitter have top Twitter followers. So they were saying, Twitter has a way of also changing perception and stuff. So if they don't have a strong Twitter following and they have a crazy time slot,
you got to realize
Katy Perry also does a live show.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, using the Super Bowl as a gauge isn't necessarily the best thing because I don't think they get paid for that. You know what I mean? They don't get paid to do the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't know how that works, but
the Super Bowl basically brings them in, basically saying we're going to help you because when you come on, everybody's watching. So,
but they don't do that just random Joe Blow.
No, no one gets paid in the Super Bowl, not even Beyonce.
No, I'm saying they don't ask random Joe Blow to do it.
Well, they actually have. They have actually been asking random Joe Blow after Janet Jackson put her titty out. So everybody.
Hey! That was a wardrobe malfunction. That was a wardrobe malfunction. She was a victim of fabric. Okay.
I'm cool with it. I'm glad we played it.
He just happened to do it. He just happened to do it on cue.
His head was in the vicinity.
It was listen
of the nipple.
On point, on key wardrobe malfunction in history. It was on key and everything.
And it happened.
Boom.
It
right when the explosion went off. Pow! Titty out. That's what
Oh
I'm saying.
dang! It must have been about. I think if we look at the shock wave of the explosion, that may have contributed to a thread malfunction in that costume. I think no. Janet. Granted, Janet and I broke up a long time ago, and I'm not bitter about it. I can understand, but I'm
Obviously
telling
not.
you.
You had a lot of kids since then.
No. It's okay. I mean, what we had was what we had at the time. But after Velvet Rope, I just couldn't hang. I just couldn't. I'm like,
Listen,
no, I need a simpler life now. But
the
no, that wasn't
point
happening.
is, outside of Rob trying to confess he's a pimp, outside of that, the point is, the Super Bowl, they have been lacking in star power after that. Now, they've tried to get back on it a little bit because they've had Beyonce, they brought in Bruno Mars, now they want to do Katy Perry. They gone back to the edginess a little bit, but they have in the past. If Johnny Cash was still walking around, they'd be like, hey, do one of your old boring songs. We want that. Because they want that. They want something conservative, and that's right on point. But not so much these days.
The man in black is not conservative.
Yeah, he's not even close to conservative, let alone
Not missing my point. But that's okay.
No, I think we get your point, and you're right. I think they are trying to build it back up after that unfortunate, completely random.
Who said it was unfortunate?
I was about to say I didn't find nothing about that.
I don't recall being asked about that.
I kind of rewound a couple of times just to get a closer picture.
That was
catch it from different angles.
That was an embarrassing moment for both of them. That's all I'm saying. That was an embarrassing moment, and I'm sure.
Shouldn't it only
It's a moment for who?
But honestly, it's great publicity. Look, how many years later we still talking about it?
You're still talking about it. I ain't talking about it.
I'm putting it up. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
It didn't happen.
It only is embarrassing if it was an accident.
Yes, it was. It was absolutely.
Okay, it was an accident.
Okay, it was an accident. It was an unfortunate fabric malfunction. That's exactly what it was.
That's what it was.
It'll be okay. But it's interesting. I think Bruno Mars put on a really, really good show. Beyonce's show was okay. I think Bruno did a really, really excellent show. And Katy Perry, gosh, she puts on such dramatic shows from the different videos that I've seen. I think that'll be a pretty good halftime show. But yeah, they gotta build that brand back up and make halftime.
I'm not gonna be a fan of the halftime show at all, but or the game.
Why not?
But
that's only because them Cowboys ain't making.
Oh, they didn't make the pool. They lost.
They did lose today. They
Watch.
did lose by 5. They did.
Oh, God. Wow.
Look at that chicken eating smile on his face.
It's okay.
they're in the same place the Eagles and the Giants are, that's for sure. Well, actually, they're not in the same place because they got a lot further than those two, but whatever.
Don't matter, because we still watching Super Bowl on the couch just like y'all.
They watching it with
The
us.
only difference is...
All right, but seriously, since we brought it up, all fanboyism aside, regardless of who your team is, I think Rob even liked that Washington team.
Watch it now. Watch it now. Watch it.
All fanboys aside, and I'm really leaning on you two for real. Was that a catch or not?
No.
So
But you know what? It doesn't matter because it was pass interference last week. So it just kind of has a way of working itself out.
We're not talking about a game last week. We're talking about tonight.
Well, no, you have to. No.
It
If you're
has
gonna
a
bring
way.
that up, you got to bring up the other one because they wouldn't be here if. Yeah. So yes, that's perfectly within the realm.
That's the way it works out. But I knew they was going to rule it not a catch because the ball moved and it hit the ground. That's just the way it works. That was a great catch. It was a great catch. It was a great attempt. It was even good defense. Everything was good. But when the ball hit the ground, that was not a catch.
Because I've been reading different tweets and stuff from all over people from the NFL, and a lot of people, even some Green Bay players, were like, "I thought it was a catch." And
They thought it was a catch.
I know.
What did Mike Pereira say? What did Mike Pereira say?
I don't know. What did he say?
He said it wasn't a catch
Then that's what it is.
because the ball moved. It's the rule. That is the rule.
Like, Mike Pereira is the quintessential last word on these things.
And the crazy part about it is, if the ball didn't even move when it hit the ground, they wouldn't have called it a catch. The ball bobbled around because he didn't have full possession.
Well,
That's
see
still
that,
a rule.
and see that's the whole debate right there because
What?
like even like Deion Sanders, he put out there, he was like, "Yo, this is definitely something we gotta talk about the off season," because he was like, "Yo, when is a catch not a catch?" He caught the
Man, forget
ball.
all of that,
He
man. They
took
get
he
all
took
that.
he took he took 3 steps. He took the ball, had 3 steps, went down, and then when he stretched out, that's when it
But see,
came out,
here's
and
the
then he put
thing.
it right
It
back.
doesn't matter how many steps you take if the ball is moving in your possession. It's still not a catch. You could take 50 steps. If you juggling the ball the whole time, then you end up dropping it, that's a drop ball.
He didn't juggle the ball the whole time.
Yes, he did. That's why they overturned it.
This is the beauty of Google.
I mean, I know y'all want to see what you want to see, but I knew they wasn't going to call it a catch. And I was right, and the Cowboys apparently lost. This is awesome.
Ooh, look at that half grin looking away. Like this expression, we need a screenshot of that right there.
I got it. I did a picture. I just pictured it. I got it.
See, for those at home, that's what salty look like.
No, this is what pulling up the video looks like.
Watch the video.
I
Watch the video 50 times. Because you know better.
Because when you want to talk about people seeing what they want to see, the fact that you said he was juggling the whole time,
listen,
seen that.
Hold up. This is coming from the guy who really don't watch football, talking to the guy who's been.
I know what I saw. I know what I saw.
Obviously, you didn't.
I know what Bleacher Report is saying. I know what
Bleacher Report. Really?
I know what ESPN is saying. I know what CBS Sports is saying. Every video kept online. Every video online.
No,
he caught the ball.
They didn't. He didn't catch the ball because if he caught the ball, they would have won the game. But they didn't win the game.
You only saying that because you want the Cowboys to lose. You're not.
I'm saying that because I'm a realist.
You're not saying it because you're actually being critical.
Right, because you know better about football than I do. Now you sound stupid.
That has nothing to do with nothing.
Obviously it does. I know
what you're doing is called a logical fallacy. That's a debate.
Actually, I'm being logical. You're just mad because you're a fan.
That's a debate tactic that people use when they try to win an argument. They try to say you should listen to me because I know more. And necessarily because I'm being logical or because it makes sense. It's just I know more. Just listen to me.
I gave you logic.
That is a debate.
I don't want to believe that. I'm going to believe the Bleacher Report.
Understands the beat.
That's what you just did just now. I'm going to believe the Bleacher Report. I'm not going to believe you because I
named several sources and different people.
I could name several sources. We could name a bunch of sources because listen, if it was that serious, 2 things would have happened. Either A, they would have called it a catch. Or because it was called a catch on the field, if it was inconsiderable evidence, they wouldn't have overturned the call.
Last week?
They wouldn't have overturned the call. I think it was pass interference last week.
It was definitely pass interference
pass interference last week. They didn't call it.
His head never turned. He never played the ball. That was straight
But you know what? It's not even that.
Okay.
That's not why it was pass interference.
Thank you.
Because in the NFL, you could face guard.
No, never mind. You just made it for me.
Why? What did I make?
You just said if it was a catch, they wouldn't have ruled.
Hold up. There's a difference between that play and this play because that play wasn't reviewed. He just picked up the fucking flag. My bad. He picked up the flag and he shouldn't have. This play was reviewed. This play was reviewed. And it's not reviewed by just the people on the field. It's reviewed by the people up in New York. That means multiple people looked at the play. And if it was one of those plays we'd be like, I can't tell, they don't overturn the play. They'd have been like, inconclusive evidence, leave the call as it stood. Leave the call as it stood. They didn't do that. And the reason why it was easy to overturn because even the people in Green Bay was like, the ball was moving. Even if it's a little. Now, you want to talk about logic? Logically, if it was face, I would have called it a catch. But I also know that seeing what I saw, they was going to overturn it without even being mad about it because it was moving. The ball was moving. Simple. And if you was being logical, look at the video. And you going to tell me that the ball stuck to his chest the whole time? You was a damn fool. It wasn't. And then when it hit the ground, the ball popped out. The rule is, if you don't have full possession of the ball when you hit the ground, that's an incomplete pass. They've changed the rule over the years to say the ball can hit the ground at least a little bit if it doesn't move around. Because that used to happen. People used to make catches and never move the ball. It would hit the ground, but the ball wouldn't move. And that used to be called an incomplete pass. They changed that rule to give receivers even more leeway than they got now. So now, if you just hold the ball, if it hits the ground, they'll still call it a catch. If you got crazy possession. With him, the ball popped up. And if you're going to say you watching the video, then you saw that. You saw that. The ball popped up. He caught the ball. If he would have caught the ball and never moved his hands, and then the ball popped up a little bit and took 4 steps, they would have called that the ground causing a fumble, and it can't. But he did this. He caught it, did this, then hit the ground, ball pops up. They're going to call it an incomplete pass all the time, no matter who my favorite team is. That's a fact. And if it wasn't, they would have called it a catch. After review, they did. Do they always get it right? No, but that was easy to see. That was easy to see. You wouldn't want it because it was great catch. It was a great acrobatic catch. And most people would be like, don't let the referees dictate the game because that was an awesome catch. The defensive player should have knocked the ball down. He sucked. He didn't. Dez Bryant is a beast. He got the ball. It shouldn't even have been caught. Not even halfway caught. But it was a great play.
Face.
But that was a drop ball. That was going to be, as soon as they reversed it, it was easy to see.
Face.
Whether you like it or not, you want to make a rule change, make one. But based on what the rules were, that was going to be an incomplete pass every time. Easy. Easy. And that's real. Take that knowledge, what you will.
Face.
Yes.
So now that we've talked about football for the last
Hey, I don't make the rules, homeboy. I just play them.
Okay. So that was like football. That wasn't even one-on-one. That was like an advanced lesson in football, courtesy of King Face. And Geekonius, I'm sure, has now reviewed the film from multiple angles. I'm sure that he has even summoned his Sith powers of deduction, and I think that he's probably come to his own conclusion on that. But I'm thinking that I'm going to get back to the geeky techie show that I think we were going to have, and but that was a hard lesson in football that people have to understand. The ball moved. He's right. Let it go. Okay, Geekonius, you good with that?
I'm laughing at the chat.
Oh, I can't see the chat. Okay, I closed the chat window.
Yeah, Bison wanted to know, is this the Black Geeks or NFL Live?
Yeah, I know. Hey Bison, how you doing? Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I wish I had seen the game today. I was not at home at all, so I didn't see it, so I really couldn't comment on it. Okay, so let's get back into 2015. Obviously, we do have the Super Bowl coming up, so we have a couple more games we get to talk about in terms of football. So maybe we'll talk football again next week. But we do want to talk about 2015 and some of the really interesting stuff that's coming up. As I mentioned before, I think television and movies are going to be the really, really big thing this year. Geekonius, I was thinking that, and going back to my comment about CES, the cell phone wars. I mean, T-Mobile really kicked things off last year. I think that we're going to see a lot more cell phone wars in terms of the networks trying to get subscribers. In terms of, but I don't really foresee a whole lot of technological advances when it comes to smartphones, though. I think the only thing that we've seen that's been of any interest of late was that one phone that you can actually change out components as you go along to add in, so that you don't have to buy new phones. You can just change out components as you go along. I think that, if anything, I would like to see that technology adopted in the next in the coming years, where you can actually upgrade your phones. I know that that's probably not the way the cell phone companies are going to take it, but I'm hoping that that's one thing that we start to see, and that you almost get to reusable phones practically with that technology. But I don't see a whole lot of advances. We see also last year that everyone is getting away from personal cameras and using their phone as cameras. So if anything, the big thing is going to be cameras coming up this year. How many more megapixels can you get into your smartphone cameras?
Um, I think that's mainly a Android thing. I'm not sure that it's a I don't know if it's such a big technical leap or whatever. It's an experiment, but they to me it just they keep throwing stuff at the wall to see what's going to stick. So I can't really. I mean, it might be a big deal for Android fans. I'm not moved either way about the whole megapixel thing in the cameras or.
Geekonis, why are you broadcasting my picture?
Oh, my bad.
Is that what you're trying to show?
just as I talk about this smartphone stuff, I'm kind of multitasking.
Yeah. Okay.
But as I was saying, um, I don't think it's a big deal. Like I've said, like I said to over and over again, when it comes to the whole idea of the megapixel thing, as many photographers, professional photographers have said, there's a lot that goes into taking a great picture besides whether or not, you have a lot of megapixels. Megapixels are good for making larger pictures, if you will, and resolutions that you can, go in later and edit them because you have more pixels to work with. But, a lot of times had a lot more to do with the aperture, the processing software, and things of that nature, which is why when you see comparatively speaking between the different companies, that Apple has not changed their megapixels in several years. It's been like 8 megapixels, and it just seems like Microsoft and different companies have just decided that more is better, and that's just to me it seems like more of a marketing thing. Now, are there instances where it turns out where the cameras are better? Yeah, I think the latest Galaxy phone, I want to say, or maybe the latest Note, did beat out the new iPhone just so much, but it did beat it out. But then again, we're still talking about um, a 8 megapixel camera versus a 14, 15, 16 megapixel camera, which still goes to show that the processing software and the aperture says a lot for the picture, meaning that, naturally if Apple goes up a couple of megapixels, they still don't have to go into the high teens just to be comparable to the phones that are winning out. And as far as the whole custom smartphone thing, it sounds okay, but I just don't think from a consumer standpoint that's where we are. I don't think people want to have a smartphone that they just keep adding pieces to as they go on. If that was the case, the system builder market, if you will, I think would have trumped the Dells and the HPs of the world. I think when you look at market, system builders get people who build enthusiasts. Yeah, we can build a better product more or less than your Dells or your HPs, but that still ended up being a very small segment of the overall PC market. And I think the same thing happened with smartphones. I don't think you can basically turn smartphones to PCs and think that the builders are going to win out those who come up with custom designs annually or biannually or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I do want to say, it appears as though Ghost has also joined us at least on video. Ghost, are you finally with us, my friend? I think you got your. I think your line. I think you.
Yeah. Y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
What?
Oh, look at he resolved. He's like, oh, I got it. There he is. What's going on, Ghost? How you doing, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm having issues.
Yeah, well, we already know you have issues. That's beside the point. I'm just saying. But you did jump on with us, so appreciate that. Um, I want to jump over to King Face. King Face and Potbelly are two really big television watchers as well. I think Potbelly Samurai is like king of the DVR with his schedule. Uh, but I want to go to Face first. Face, like I mentioned earlier, 2014 brought us like so many different shows, whether it was Flash or Arrow or Gotham, Agents of Shield. I mean, there were just so many different shows that we were given in 2014. I think 2015 looks like it's going to be continuation of a lot of the same shows, but I think that with the shows that they've kind of put out there, they've kind of raised the bar in bringing in that comic element, but also bringing in. I mean, kind of like they're pretty good, fun shows to watch. I mean, I don't know if you can really call Arrow fun, but I mean, there are a lot of really good moments in Arrow.
No, Arrow was fun to
Yes,
watch.
Arrow was fun to watch.
It's got its own little gritty brand of drama, but that was fun to watch. And if you, I mean, you cannot be in the comics and enjoy the show. And if you're in the comics, you just into the moment. Like I read comics, and I'm telling you right now, as a person who just watched Arrow simply because of what Arrow was, they could have brought nobody in DC into this, and I would have enjoyed the storylines. But just the fact that they brought in all these comic book characters, I mean, they pretty much right before your face set up the Suicide Squad and the Rogues, and they got to have the Talking Gorilla soon. They got to have Grodd soon. I was enjoying it. I was loving it. I was like, I just want to see the Talking Monkey. Who's gonna play the Talking Monkey? I don't want to see who gonna do it. He has to show up because they've already. Well, that was in not Arrow. That was in Flash. But I mean, they these shows were just fun to watch. Like, my wife's not in the comics, and my son, he hasn't been around forever, so he was only into whatever he knows, like the recent stuff. And he was into it, and they were into it, and it was like, yeah, it's a good show, And shows like Gotham, I was sleeping on Gotham at first, and then as each show came on, it picked up. And all these shows should start their second half of the season.
Yeah,
starting this year now. Now Gotham started this Monday, but I think everybody is on a good track. I don't recall too many bad shows. Again, it's unfortunate what's going to happen to Constantine, because I thought it was a good show. I mean, I think the girl who plays the sidekick is a little dry.
yeah,
But my man he carries a whole cast easy.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of messed up. But I mean, overall, and then you got a lot of the non-comic shows, like stuff that's on Cinemax and HBO and all that stuff, like Banshee, Penny Dreadful, not House of Cards, well, House of Cards, which is on Netflix, and Orange is the New Black. You got a lot of good content starting last year, and I think it's all going to just continue this year, especially with the rise of shows that's coming on the Netflix and the YouTube, and not the YouTubes, the Netflix and the Hulus and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that's just going to add to it, because so far it's been good. It's been good TV. It's so much I can't even watch it all at once.
I know. You get to these conversations with people and they say, "Hey, have you seen?" I'm like, no. I mean, I'm maxed out. I mean, I was telling, I sent a tweet out to Geekonius yesterday. I spent an unrealistic amount of time in the kitchen. And when I say unrealistic, it was I watched seven episodes at least of Z Nation. Geekonius, you really called it on Z Nation, man. I must say, what a really interesting.
Hold up.
Hold on, Potbelly wants to get his credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please give him his credit. Give him
give
him his propers.
Yes, I'll give you props too, Potbelly. Absolutely. Z Nation.
If you don't give him his propers, he's gonna be,
Absolutely. I'm the one that introduced Z Nation to the team.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You absolutely did. I know that.
And I still can't watch it. I thought I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I must say that Z Nation is a terribly interesting show, because you're right, it doesn't take itself incredibly seriously, but they play it so seriously the whole way through. I thought the episode with the Russian astronaut was fascinating. That was a fascinating episode, because it really just had me guessing the whole way through, and I thought that was a really, really great episode. So yeah, I caught that. So yeah, this has been, and I think Kingface, you kind of pointed out that these other channels are also really pushing the envelope for entertainment, because you got Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix all creating original content that can really push envelopes. And granted, sci-fi just kind of goes off and does their own thing, but they take it to such a level. It's extraordinary, and I mean it from the standpoint of it's extraordinary. And so, we've got this whole section of media that all these other channels in there are getting in with this more creative content. Granted, a lot of it has due to access to technology and being able to render all this stuff now. Technology is caught up that you can really flex your imagination and stuff. You're right. There really wasn't a whole lot of really bad stuff, but even with the stuff that was bad, you always had the option to go find something good somewhere else. So, TV-wise, it was amazing. I wanted to go to Popular Samurai and talk about movies. We saw a lot of movies as a team, and then obviously, you did your own thing. You went and caught some flicks too. Um, we saw again, Marvel really put it down last year. They've got some big movies on the schedule coming up for this year as well. But I think that every movie season, I think the movie season, even though we complain a lot about the diversity, not only of the cast, but also in terms of the storylines, I really have a good feeling that 2015 is going to be a pretty good year for movies as well. What do you think?
I think 2015 is going to be all right. I mean, 2014 was cool. I mean, it had some slow spots, but it was cool overall. I think 2015. I think what we're going to end up being is the ultimate beneficiaries of this showdown between Marvel and DC. It's like when when the two top athletes compete, like say for running example, you got guys like Usain Bolt going up against Asafa Powell, and like you have this kind of like tremendous field of talent. You get excited to see every race because it's a slugfest. Like you really are waiting to see who's going to become the world's fastest man and who's going to replace him and then take that spot, at the top. And I think that's what we're getting out of, this competition between Marvel and DC. Competition brings out the best, and I think that, that's really pushing everybody to do better, to dominate that market. And you see that in a crossover with television. Like you see what Marvel is doing with television and the crossovers with all of their shows, and you see what DC is now starting to do to catch up with Marvel. So we're getting all this great content, and then you also have this huge battle right now between cable television and network television. So you have shows like Agents of Shield and Gotham on network television, and then you got Netflix stepping in, and you got Daredevil, and you got all these other shows. It's now part of the network, the cable scene. So I'm really enjoying the ride because we're getting so much out of it, and I think this is the push that. And as much as we bash Hollywood, I think this is the push that Hollywood needed, like that internal competition to really get some creativity flowing, creativity that honestly I don't think we've seen in years. So I'm hoping to see more.
Absolutely. Now, Ghost, I mean, you stay pretty busy, and we talked about, we kind of have made the case for television. You made the case for. I'm gonna wait and give you a minute to clear your channel. Okay, you're cool. All right. We talked a lot about television. A lot talked about movies. Where do you think you're gonna spend your time? I mean, are you gonna spend it? Go ahead. I know. See, Ghost is always busy, and he's always into something. So I always have to be mindful of his time or what he's getting into, and then he just disappears. See, that's there you go. Now you see why we call him Ghost. He's there, poop, he's gone. It's just what he does. So I'm gonna ask. I'll ask the same question as Dr. Econius. Econius, I think I know where you're gonna land on this. But I mean, we spend a lot of time as a Black Geeks checking out movies. You have a impeccable movie library. Where do you think you're going to spend your time this coming season? Are you going to spend it, catching up on movies, or are you going to really just try to soak up as much TV as you possibly can with all these really great shows?
Look, it is so crazy this year. Oh my God! I know, mainly with the TV. When you talk about, here we got Arrow and the Flash coming back the week of the 20th. Gotham's already came back this week, and then just as soon as these wrap up, we jumping right back into the Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. So that's pretty much going to take us through June. At which point I anticipate that Under the Dome and other shows will be on their way back. You got Penny Dreadful, all of the Strain, all that should be back this summer.
Orphan Black.
Yeah, and then we're right back into the fall again. Not to mention, this year is the Netflix shows start coming out. Daredevil. You already got other Netflix shows that people are watching, and then you got the thing that people do on Netflix and Hulu in general, which is just keep up on shows they didn't get a chance to see. And then in between that, you got movies sprinkled in. Some movies you didn't even know that was coming out, like the Poltergeist remake and Friday the 13th sequel. I look like they're making another Point Break for whatever reason. And then you got Ant-Man and it's just going. And even Bison, he's mentioning some stuff like Bad Stuff, Ascension, Fallen Skies, Defiant. It's just so much, and then we all know what's going down in December. I think the whole world knows what's going on in December. So we're gonna close out the year with a bang too, with the Force Awakens. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up the Ant-Man joint, man. I've been reading a lot on that one, and a lot of folks are talking about that might be Marvel's first real disappointment, and I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that.
Well, the only reason why they're saying it's going to be a disappointment is because of they're taking liberties with the storyline.
Did y'all see the trailer by any chance?
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
Okay.
And it's not the trailer. That's what I'm saying. I want to just kind of watch and see what they do. They taking liberties with the storyline because they making Hank Pym basically 100 years old, and he doesn't make Ultron, and they pretty much gonna cut out the whole Hank Pym Ant-Man mythos and go straight into the Scott Lang mythos, and that annoys people, that annoys the comic heads. Now, as far as everybody else, they could still pull it off. It could still work. I was when I heard that Kirk Douglas was playing Hank Pym, my first reaction was like, wait, what?
You mean Mike Douglas? No,
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Mike
Kirk or
Douglas.
Mike?
Michael Douglas.
I'm sitting there questioning like, which one is it?
Either one, they both old. So
But you got old and you got old.
hey, the way
Whatever.
in this game,
You understood what he meant.
yeah,
You got Methuselah and then you got God old.
either way, it's too old for what they're trying to do and what they should do. And so they taking liberties with that, and they trying to do their own thing by just focusing on the Scott Lang joint. And Paul Rudd ain't no spring fish neither. I mean, he's been around for a while. So yeah, spring fish. The rotund
The fish ate the chicken.
God damn.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look at that, the casting and the direction they going with the story, the fact that he doesn't make Ultron, so he's not really going to be a part of the Avengers. Really, he's just there. It kind of, and this is one of the founding members of the Avengers. I could see why people be like,
I have a theory
because they're trying to throw more weight on the Tony Stark. Like they're gonna put more into Robert Downey
But
Jr.
here's the thing, but you also know that they're going to try to step away from them at some point. That would make more sense to put this on Henry Pym instead of Tony Stark.
I agree with you. I don't really like the changes that they're making, but at the same time, this is Marvel, and they have this whole plan laid out going from here to eternity. So
which is why
I have to hold out hope that since they haven't let me down yet, that they actually doing it the way they know they need to do it.
Yeah, so we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and let them make the movie. If it's trash, we're going to tell them it's trash. You have no problems with that. So, I mean, it is what it is. But so I'm hoping that it comes out to be good because, we all was suspect. We all felt that Captain America, the first one, was going to be suspect. And so far, they've banged out 2 good movies. So, give them a shot.
And I was perusing the different channels like IGN and stuff like that, and seeing different people on the internet what they were thinking. And the general consensus I've seen is exactly how you broke it down. The comic people are a little worried, but other cats are saying, well, at the end of the day, if you listen to what people in Hollywood and other people around the world were saying, everyone thought Guardians was going to be their biggest risk and it might be a flop, and Guardians ended up being their biggest movie. Not saying that Ant-Man's going to be on that, but I kind of have a theory. I'm not that deep into the comic world like that, but I think we might have to see Age of Ultron first before we can kind of figure out what they're up to with Ant-Man. Because part of me seems to think that even though they're going to have Tony Stark and I believe Bruce Banner having a role in Ultron, I think the way they might play it off is that they've gotten the technology from Pym to do it because from what I've been reading about Ant-Man is they're going to probably have some flashback scenes to a younger Hank Pym to the early days of him being a superhero, if you will. So this might be during the early days of Shield. It might give him a chance to throw Agent Carter in it as well to sync up some more stuff in the Marvel universe. And maybe Shield already kind of knew about the Pym particles and all this stuff, and then Tony and them got a hold of it. And because when they introduced Yellow Jacket too, I also heard that it was because they have his old company, and his daughter's working there. So it seems like they're still going to find a way.
But even that sounds
to make it
crazy.
sounds crazy, but who knows what Kevin Feige
Because the Pym particles don't even have anything to do with Ultron.
I'm saying as far as his technology and his awareness to Shield and things of that nature. I'm saying that maybe they're going to do it in such a way where the young Pym is already known to Shield and different other entities, and his experiments and his technology become the basis of whatever it is that Tony and them do, based on whatever information they get as well from this new company, from where Yellow Jacket is going to appear. And I imagine, like you said, they're going to get rid of all of these dudes to do a new Avengers. So that's probably why they're going to also introduce the daughter to possibly the Wasp and the new Avengers lineup.
Who's
And
daughter?
Pym and Janet. She's in the movie too.
Okay,
And the more you saying, man, I ain't digging it. But
So apparently, from what I read, Henry Pym and did I just say Henry or Hank? Goddamn, I'm
You
sorry.
said Henry.
I'm getting all twisted now. Once he said Douglas thing, threw me completely off. Now I can't get nobody's name right. But basically they're saying their daughter is going to be working at this company where the guy who stole the technology when he bought the company is going to turn a Yellow Jacket, and he's basically going to get Lang, and Lang is going to basically don the suit that he used to wear back in the day when whatever happened or whatever. So I think they're going to still try to find an interesting way to, of course, most comic people say, why go through all of this rigmarole? They could have just put Pym on the dang on Avengers. And in fact, that was supposed to be the first Marvel movie in this series of movies. It was supposed to be Ant-Man.
I remember that.
But for whatever reason, because they started Ant-Man in 2006, actually. Whatever reason they said Ant-Man wasn't going to be cool enough, I don't know. They went with Iron Man. And so,
I can understand that. I can understand them going with Iron Man. I'm just saying, to me, if it's a good movie, then we can get over the foolishness. I just feel like, why even tempt fate? I mean, you have a complex character. Just make the damn movie based on the information that you got instead of trying to do all this extra. Like, now they got a daughter, really? It's extra. It's like it's so much extra when you could just, even if you didn't tell the exact, you don't have to go by comic book line by line, but I mean, you have the blueprint already there, and then you try to put your own spin on it, and more often than not, when that happens, the movie sucks. The movie sucks, or it's too much. I mean, both sides, Marvel and DC, they try to put their own spin on it. I mean, that movie that they did with Ryan Reynolds, both of them, kind of jacked up, right? They tried to put their own spin on it, both times, on both sides. How you gonna mess up on DC and Marvel at the same? It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Now maybe it's the actor. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't hate Van Wilder like y'all do. But it stands to reason
who, by the way, is reprising his role as Deadpool.
Interestingly enough.
But they would have to change up the whole way they even made it.
Yes.
They would have to change that whole thing up to start.
Well, apparently they're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they might do the whole.
You have all this material. You have all this material. Like when they said they was doing the Guardians of the Galaxy, I wasn't so much afraid of the concept of the movies. I thought that was an awesome move because Guardians of the Galaxy is an awesome comic. It's an awesome concept. Them going out and dealing with the space aspect, that is just awesome. I was more concerned with certain people playing the roles, and they all did their job. The concept of the movie, though, that was, to me, I don't think that was ever a problem. That was because this is good stories. They have good stories, and you have good content. And I think what they're doing with Ant-Man is they're going higher to the right, trying to make up their own thing, and that has a possibility of disaster.
Yeah.
So I hope that doesn't happen.
Let me ask. Let me ask. I want to add one more genre into this conversation. Potbelly. There were some stories back at the end of the year that they're looking at potentially casting for a live action Attack on Titans movie. What do you think? I don't know, man. Yeah, I was like, I want to get your take on that because I've watched a number of Attack on Titan series. I don't know if that's going to work. And also they also talked about doing I think it's just going to be a comic crossover where Attack on Titan shows up in Spider-Man. But when I saw the live action piece, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. I want to get your take on that.
All right, man. So I'm going to go up front and put this disclaimer out there. I'm not usually a fan of these live action joints. Like I know y'all remember the first attempt at live action Dragon Ball Z. Like,
oh God,
that joint was awful. They doing another one right now. This one looks like it might be decent, but I'm just not holding my breath. Attack on Titan, and I've been messing with the manga as well as it finished off the first season of the anime. It's a bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be a little bit too complicated for them to really get all of the nuances into a live action. And if they're talking about doing a series, we're talking about a special effects budget that's going to be, kind of out there. So if they're not willing to spend the money necessarily to make it happen, that's automatically a strike against it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to deal with casting. You have like the different, CGI and the acrobatics and everything that goes into it. And then you have like the brutal nature of the anime and the manga. And we're not at the point yet where, they really going all in on the brutality the way they do, or the way they're able to go all in an anime or in a manga. 'Cause let's face it, like the Japanese animation and manga, they kind of like years ahead of us as far as what they do and the things that they depict and the imagery that they use. Right. And even with regard to the stories they tell, like the stories in anime and manga, and Faith can attest to this, like they're so involved and like so far out there, like that is, we're still playing catch up. We're still kind of like on the playground, and the Japanese, they in college already. They're about to graduate and go be engineers. Right. So I have a lot of concerns about how they're going to pull this one off. I think it has too many moving parts. I think it's a little bit too large for them to tackle right now. And I think the subject matter might be a little bit too much for them to tackle right now. But also, it depends on if they're going to do a live action, where are they going to put it? Because it's not going to It's not going to work on network television. You can do it on a Netflix, but right now, from what I understand, Netflix and Hulu and those guys, they're not really spending the money on their productions like that yet. They don't have it to spend like that. They still, filling out their lineups. And then you're looking at like some of the major cable networks, with the exception of like, HBO and they don't really have the dough to do it like that. So I don't know, like where does it really fit? Like I think it's a bad idea right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the technology is there to do it, but I agree. I think the complexity especially of the animated series. I mean, if you think of nothing else, I'll say, the two things I think will be challenging is one, when the Titan actually catches people and they eat them, the transformation, and then actually showing people entangled within the Titan.
Not just catching them and eating them. What happens when they regurgitate them or put them out?
Right.
Or show that.
Right.
I'd like to see it, but they're really going to go there and.
They kind of opened the door when they did Anaconda. I mean, Anaconda did spit out John Voight.
Yeah, but it wasn't like that, though.
Yo, anything. If I was Anaconda, I'd spit out John Voight, too. Who wants to shoot John Voight? I'm sorry. Like a tough piece of gristle, damn it. It's like, what the hell? What is that?
Rob need to put out this disclaimer. He a vegetarian. But
But
think about the cost though. Think about the cost.
Yeah.
factor.
nah, that's gonna
Like,
cost some dope. Just
who
the
wants to spend the
whole
money?
the Titan response team flying around the trees. That's
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't need to mess that up. I'm telling you, and I'm not hating on it because of Shamland. Look at what they did to Airbender.
I
They
was
killed
thinking the
that.
same
They
thing.
killed that
You
because
can't
those
go
fight
low
scenes
budget
didn't
on it.
even
They were
compare because they didn't want to
awful.
spend the money, and it looked so lame. On top of the
It
fact
was
that he's a horrible director,
You
that was
think
it
about
awful.
just
it,
killed it.
most of those fight scenes, if they do Attack on Titan, it's going to be CGI.
Yeah.
It's going to be CGI and wireworks. Like, stuff ain't cheap. You
Yeah.
know, it's you talking about taking something and putting it on a scale of, from a CGI standpoint, from a special effects standpoint, really putting it on the same scale as something like my man Cameron's joint on Avatar, and putting it on a TV
Yeah.
You
budget.
talking about you might have to go beyond that.
Yeah. You just might. I
Like,
want to get we got I want to try to keep the show to the 90 minutes. I want to get Ghost because he hasn't had much opportunity to comment. So Ghost, we've laid out a couple things, and I've kind of started to ask you a very similar question here. We've laid out a number of different things. 2015 is going to be a big year in movies, TVs. I also know that you're a fairly avid reader as well, whether it's books or comics as well. Is there anything in 2015 that you know is coming that you're really looking forward to?
Not really, man. That new American sniper movie. That's about it. That's it. I'm just, hey, I'm
Oh,
simple.
I understand that. Yes, absolutely, Geekonis. I don't know how you did that, but that was way cool. Yeah, absolutely. Per one of our very loyal listeners, Bison. Bison, we were just talking about this the other day. I don't know if you guys may have seen it, or maybe you have, but there was a news reported that Scarlett Johansson is going to play in Ghost in the Shell. I wasn't.
she's actually perfect.
Yeah,
She's a perfect casting.
I think she could do
Wow.
well in it. I think I would probably. I think I'd like to choose somebody else, especially somebody that was
That
more.
was not the reaction on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was.
He's like the only one in America right now who just said that.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've been watching Ghost in the Shell since the 90s. Like, as far as like her casting is concerned, she might get to a point where she's too old for it, but she's already. If you look at how she played Black Widow, she's got the athleticism, she's got the action, down, she's got the look down, and she's actually a pretty decent actress.
Yeah, he's definitely been out of town.
Look,
Hey,
he's just not in step with Twitter. That's okay.
Yo, the whole Twitterverse, Facebookverse exploded on that news, and immediately they were comparing it to Exodus.
Yep.
He comes back from vacation. He comes back from vacation, and he's like, "Oh, I think it's great casting." The whole internet is like, "Yo, they're whitewashing yet another film." And he's like, "Great casting."
Dude, here's the thing, man. A lot of the Japanese anime characters, don't necessarily look Japanese. They use Caucasian-looking characters in tons of anime. Like, you turn on an anime, sometimes you don't know who's who or what's what. Like, this character in specific, the Major, she doesn't necessarily look Japanese. Like, I'm cool with it.
Understood.
I'm just saying you're just the complete opposite of the internet.
The internet is full of trolls and idiots. I mean, it's all right. I can live with that.
Wait a minute. Was that a shot at me or Kikonius? I don't know. I don't know.
I had no comment on it. I was just reporting what
Oh, okay.
thousands of people on the internet said.
I'm gonna ask Face. I mean, Face, you watch just as much anime as I do. What are your thoughts?
I can understand why people are tripping, but I think there's a time and place to trip. Like when you made Aang some crazy looking little white boy, that's crazy. But
Is it Aang?
Oh,
what you talking about? It's Aang. But no, but that's true. If you do look at a lot of anime, some of their characters look white. Even in the anime, they look white, and it's like, so what are you gonna do?
Trigun.
You're gonna. I mean, it's in the middle of Japan. It's like you're gonna cast a Japanese person to play a white girl. in the middle of Japan, that makes no sense. It's when they get overt with it, like every character there is all a bunch of blonde hair, blue eyed people. That's when it gets crazy. And so I don't actually hate. I mean, look, I mean,
Have y'all actually watched Ghost of the Shell?
I have. That's why I'm not
I mean,
tripping.
that's why I'm not. I know you've watched it. That's why I brought it up. I'm asking anybody else.
You know what it's like. You know what it's like.
I watch it all the time. I watch the reruns.
Exodus was a trip because they always do that with the white Jesus thing. They always play that game, and so that's just annoying. But when you look at characters, I mean, we all tripped when they doing the Fantastic Four, and then all of a sudden Johnny Torch is black. It's like, really? You have to do that? Because there's not enough black characters that you could have used. You just wanted to force one on you. You know what I mean? I mean, they do it all the time. I'm not tripping as much on this as I would other castings. This one isn't that big a deal. Though I could see why there's anger about it, I'm not really that mad about her being Ghost in the Shell.
So
whether she could pull it off remains to be seen. But
So are y'all going just off the look? Because I was reading an article, and they were saying that even though characters may not look overtly Japanese in these anime films, it's implied that they are actually Japanese, regardless of the look. And that's why a lot of people got pissed off. Because the implication is that these are Japanese people, regardless of what the animation
that sounds good
suggests.
over here on this side, but you got to keep in mind, a lot of people here, when they watch those animes, they're watching it on an English anime. There's not that many people that actually watch the Japanese version. It's cool watching subtitles. We're a rare group. You know, if it doesn't have the Japanese subtitles, some people just go to the next anime. All right, so we're seeing a lot of these people are seeing these animes for the first time, the American version, English speaking, and with the bubbly white girl voice. What do you expect to happen? It'd be different if you went over there and you was watching the anime and they were speaking Japanese, and then you just brought it over and English dubbed it, and then did your thing. But that's not what's happening. A lot of these people are watching the American version. Now, to those of us who is watching the Japanese with the English subtitles, all right, you can still be mad. I'm not mad, but it's always implied because it starts from over there. But when we see it, we see the regular version. We see the version that we contend with. That doesn't look like a Japanese person to me. And when we watch the American version, it doesn't sound like a Japanese person to me. So guess what? My mind is going to take it somewhere else. If you put Scarlett Johansson there as Ghost in the Shell, I'm not tripping. It's an afterthought when I start tripping about that. You know what I mean? It's not that crazy to see you put Scarlett Johansson in. If they could they put a Japanese girl in there? Absolutely. But it's not that deep for this particular character on this show. You know, I think each argument should be different, should be looked at different. And this one, I'm not tripping, not nearly as much as everybody else.
Geekoness, you posted a whole lot in the chat. Did you want to paraphrase that or?
No, I was just putting sources for people like where some of this has come from. Like I found an article where they were trying to break it down, and they were saying that Westerners often mistakenly think the large eyes on manga and anime characters represent an attempt to look white, but it's a convention that was started because one of the early creators of manga anime was thinking more of a Disney. He was influenced by Disney. And they said also it means that the characters are, have some sensitivity. So, I think the point was just raised by Face that from a Western perspective, when you're looking at it, you see what you see. But those in the Asian community, a lot of people that's, one of the sources is from the website Racebender. A lot of people in the Asian community do see it as whitewashing. They see it as an attempt to Hollywood to look at Japanese culture again, to come up with a film, and all the source material is Japanese, but they want a white person to lead. And I guess the argument is valid, but I would say this is to play devil's advocate. If we're now saying that, well, because we see what we think, the character looks white, even if the Asian community says, well, it implied to be, Japanese, then couldn't the argument also be made, as foolish as it is, again, this is devil's advocate, that those who whitewash movies like Exodus could say, well, this is our experience, this is what we see when we think of Moses, and this is what we think and what we see when we think of Jesus. So
I
why
don't think
you all?
You need to
you
repent.
can't really take that position. And this, I mean, based on what you're saying, like they might see that, but their historical
Well,
references
no, I'm just saying,
to
but
say
that's
contrary, so that
and
argument
from the
can't
and
be a
from
valid.
the and from the Asian community perspective, their argument is our history is these are Asian characters, and appearances be damned. Our intent was that these were Japanese people; they were
Yeah.
not white people.
Here's the thing though. Like, I actually lived in Japan for well over a year. I spent a lot of time studying there. And I've been into anime since the freaking 80s. Like when you look at some of these characters, like they specifically make some characters look white, and they have white characters in anime. Even some of the Japanese characters in anime will have blonde hair and blue eyes. Like Naruto, for instance, who I actually love the character. I love the anime. I love the manga. It had a great 10-year run. But Naruto, even though he's Japanese, he has blonde hair. And,
Look,
and, and
the last thing I'm gonna do is get into this debate because it's not something I have any expertise in at all because I don't watch anime. But what I will do is say, well, I think we get on touchy ground when we defend the quote unquote Western position over the Asian position. Because at the end of the day, as people of color, it's kind of like, when to me, what it sounds like as somebody that has no dog in this hunt, if you will. So I'm able to step more back because I don't have an opinion about anime one way or the other or Scarlett Johansson. I don't even know what the character looks like. I don't have any experience with Ghost in the Shell on that level at all. So just listening to the arguments that were just presented, to me, it sounds like those people I was reading in the forums when when they were talking about Exodus and different movies, and white people were kind of just like, I don't see what's the big deal. They casted, a black Human Torch, and they casted, the black people in Thor. Why they making a big stink on this? And the way I got all upset was like, how you going to tell us about our black experience and blah blah blah. We know what we have issues with. So if a significant population in the Asian community is saying they have a problem with this, I'm one to just take a step back and say, well, I'm not getting into that because that's their cultural sensitivities, and far be me to be one to look at them and say, well, I don't see what the issue is, blah blah blah. Because then to me, it just sounds like it's the same thing, except that now that black people ain't involved, we seem to be taking the white position, if you will.
I mean, I'm not taking a white position.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
disagreeing with what you're saying. I just think it's two separate arguments. Like when you have, even though they might meet in the middle just a little bit, they are different arguments. When you look at something like Moses, you're talking about a systematic removal and eradication of African Americans or people of African descent from history and from theology, despite what history and despite what all of the facts say, you're going to force this imagery. Now, that's this side of the argument. The other side of the argument, dealing with the anime characters, these are phenotypical representations that were put forth by Asian, artists, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, in that regard, like dealing with this one particular anime. So you create a character that doesn't look Japanese or doesn't look Asian, but then there's some sensitivity when an actress is cast who doesn't look Japanese. Like that's a very different argument than the historical eradication of a people from a theological historical picture.
I just don't think we have an opinion
don't
on
know
it.
if that's
I think if an Asian person
right.
says
I
it
don't
bothers me,
know.
then that's
I think we
valid
should.
Okay,
position.
see,
I think we should be.
I think there's a disconnect. I do have an opinion because I can't, and I don't think New York Pop Baylor said you can't be mad about it. I think I distinctly said if they got an issue with it, then so be it. If they made an Asian person played his role, I wouldn't be like, I can't believe they didn't make Scarlett Johansson. That's just stupid. I don't think anybody would have said that. I think to Potbelly's point is, you made a character that looks like Scarlett Johansson. We can argue that point. I'm just saying, if you make a character that looks like Scarlett Johansson, they make Scarlett Johansson play the role, and you're mad. Then make a character that looks just like you. I mean, and you're saying that to them it does, or it's supposed to be implied. Well, then it's implied. Okay, I can see why you're upset. What I'm saying is, you can imply it, but you have to tell me that. You say I'm not supposed to just know that ish. You're supposed to you got to tell me that, and then I'm gonna look at it as like, well, I don't, because I've seen animes, and they have anime players that look Japanese. You know what I mean? I watch anime all the time. There are anime characters that look the part. So out of you have a bunch of anime characters that look the part, and then you have the one that doesn't. That argument makes no sense to me. If you say, well, that's supposed to be Japanese too, and it's like, he doesn't look Japanese. And when you wrote a bunch of Japanese characters, then you wrote one that looks like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Looks just like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl in a sea of Japanese people. I don't see the problem there. And if you say you have a problem, all right, I'm not belittling their issue, but the question was put to me, so I answered it. I don't see an issue.
It sounds like Japanese people having a problem with Japanese artists who will not stepping up.
That's cool.
About it.
Yeah, you have a problem with the Japanese artists. Go cut their head off.
Right.
You know.
I'm not Japanese. I'm not. I can't.
So
I can't speak for them. I'm just gonna say what I'm.
Then don't ask the question.
I can only say what I'm reading.
Right.
And I'm just saying.
You're reporting.
I'm just reporting. And basically,
at the end of the day,
their words is not, and I'm paraphrasing, is not necessarily what we see. Is what they know and feel. So if they say that to us it looks white, but to them they see Japanese, then that appears to be the argument. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Listen, you saw 300. Every man is responsible for what comes out of his mouth. So be careful what you say, or you might end up in the pit.
What the hell?
That's called ghost justice. It's called ghost justice.
I mean,
What he told
at the end of the day, man, I love the Japanese culture. I love anime. I love manga. I mean, this is something that, I mean, the Japanese people should be, and those who have an issue should be respected for, and their sensitivity should be acknowledged. On the same token, we shouldn't automatically feel like our opinions don't matter, either in this situation. Like, we shouldn't, you know what, I just lost my train of thought. Forget about it.
It's funny you use the word token.
No, I know what you're trying to say, Potbelly, is that you should be able to have a dissenting opinion without being shut down as someone being insensitive to somebody else's grievances.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
wait a minute. No.
Hold up. Let me ask you a question.
That's like when people say stuff and they go, "But I'm not racist." I'm just saying.
Yo, hold up.
I'm not racist. I'm black. I can only be prejudiced.
Lord. Yo, check this out. Let me ask you this. If some recording studio over in France decided to make a live action Boondocks movie and they casted Dakota Fanning to play Jasmine, would y'all be mad?
You don't even go there. No. This is a setup. Answer the question.
She looked like a white girl, but we both know she's mixed.
But if they put it out there to show that she's a mulatto.
Setup.
All I'm saying is,
yes.
No comment.
Yes.
I know it's set up when I see it.
Yeah, you're right, and that was definitely one coming. All right, so look, I want to go ahead and wrap the show. I think we're going to be really close to the 90-minute mark on the final production. So I want to thank all our Black Geeks for a really great show. Thank you guys, Ghost. Congratulations on working through your technical difficulties. Definitely shows your perseverance there, brother. Nicely done. Um, and for everybody else, definitely want to thank Bison for following us over into this format. We're still working. I appreciate Geekonius watching the YouTube feed. I haven't been able to watch the YouTube comments, but been working on the Hangout side. We really appreciate it. We're going to be doing definitely more of these this year, and we're going to be looking for ways to get you guys involved in the conversation. Those of you who are watching live and those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can check us out here. We are the Black Geeks. We need to do like a little intro show. We've never really done an intro show. Maybe next week let's like do an intro show, like who are we, what are we into, what are the things we bring to the table, and kind of introduce ourselves to YouTube next week. I think that might be a good idea. Or yeah, we can never really get a show during the week, it's just with our schedules, but definitely we want to do that. But make sure that you follow us on Facebook at the Black Geeks. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Black Geeks, so that you can keep a tab on. We send out notices typically of when we're broadcasting, I say when and where, because we are on Hangout, on Google Hangout as well, and we want to make sure we can get you guys looped into Google Hangout as well if you wanted to jump on and watch us through the Hangout. So make sure you follow us, Facebook, Twitter at the Black Geeks, and then we'll also have a nice little website called the blackgeeks.com, and you can follow us there too. We did have a lot of stuff going to iTunes, so there's an archive of our old shows on YouTube as well. Obviously, with this being on YouTube, obviously it won't be on iTunes, but definitely if you like the content and you really think it's interesting, funny, and we're going to cover lots of different topics. It's not always going to be about movies and television shows, although that we do talk a lot about it.
Yes, it
Obviously,
will.
yeah, yeah, with all the shows. But obviously, we're also going to talk about tech, and we maybe do some interesting stuff for Black History Month, and we're going to try to bring diversity. It's probably time for us to do another zombie apocalypse show too. I think Ghost, I had brought up something, some show that we said we needed to do, but we need to talk about that as well.
Black Geek Survival. What if all
Telling y'all, man,
what if all
I
the
got it set
technology
up.
go away?
I got it set up. 20
Yo.
acres, nothing but woods.
I'm gonna build me a
Can you
nice
get a,
little
can you get a
treehouse.
can you get a signal out there?
Hell no.
Nope.
Yeah,
That's
smoke
why.
signal.
That's why we got to go set up the microwave, Geekonius. I mean the transmitter, not the actual cooking device.
That's
Um,
Can't break it.
all right, but thank you guys. Appreciate everyone, all the Black Geeks, all your time. Appreciate you guys, and make sure you viewers out there, make sure you check us out next week. We're on 10 o'clock p.m.s. Hopefully, we'll be on at 10 o'clock p.m. next week on Sunday, and we'll bring you more geekiness, more interesting, and definitely more football analysis, because it's what we do.
not till next year.
A little mulatto.
Not for me next year.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely for
No,
next.
I do actually have some opinions. I talked to Face about that offline.
Yeah, you
Little
can do
mulatto
that.
kids that need jobs.
What the hell?
Those two. All right, so to the geeks, we're going to end the broadcast, but that's not going to end your feed, so you guys stay tight. For everyone else out there in YouTube land, thanks. Please like us, drop us a like, or hit us up. And hey, don't forget, you can be part of this by letting us know what kind of content you want us to bring you.
Let us know.
Appreciate that. Much love. BlackGeeks.com.